So you were adopted from China and brought to Europe.
I cut it myself, and that's
You
why.
cut yourself?
Accomplishing your dreams.
How often do you discuss this with your parents?
And there are other ones that are a little bit fascist.
Oh, all these gas comes from Russia, actually. Yeah.
Soup.
Boom, we're live. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Hold on, wait.
It's all fine.
Okay,
Why are you laughing? Describe it. What are you thinking about right now?
like, I don't know, like... the situation.
The situation. Okay, it's totally fine. It's a podcast. We don't have to be so official. Like, we're already recording, so it's fine. That's how it works. Share anything you like right now. What do you feel? Why do you feel it's strange? Is it the first time, the first experience you are taking part in a podcast?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I don't listen to them very often.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't listen to them really often, but I'm a great fan of Joe Rogan podcast, and I have been listening to it since I was a kid, maybe, I don't know, 15 years old, 16 probably. Back then, Joe Rogan was famous more of his comedy show than of his podcast, but he still had it that time. It was 2010, whatever, something like that. But now his podcast is so known worldwide. And back then, I even wrote an email to them. Poor guys, they were reading my email. I was asking like, hey guys, like, your show is so amazing. Like, I'm inspired. I would like to have my own podcast. And I asked this stupid question like, guys, like, how do you manage the video shooting? So does it switches automatically when the speaker speaks? Because this is, two people, and the camera switches when you see the podcast, when it's with the video. And I asked the stupid question, like, does it work automatically, or you like manually cut it after shooting? So anyway, they didn't respond.
How cute.
Oh yeah. And I was kind of dreaming about having my own podcast since then. So now here we are.
Yeah.
It's we're in the beginning of something great. Who knows?
Who knows?
Oh yeah.
Accomplishing your dreams.
Oh yeah. What dreams do you have? You're 20 years old now. Do you have some dreams? Like some specific ones?
Traveling a lot. That's
Like,
it.
so can we say that your dream is to have the ability to travel around the world, no matter what? It's money, it's remote work, it's something else that lets you travel and be totally remote, like a digital nomad,
Yeah.
So that's what you mean? That's your purpose, right? That's a good purpose.
Yeah.
Because especially after the COVID, we all realized that everything can pretty much work good remotely.
Yeah.
It's not, obligatory, mandatory to go in a meeting offline. Everything can be managed online, but still there are some cultures that do not accept that. For example, in the Middle East, in United Arab Emirates, big deals, they are only closed when you meet each other offline. So you cannot just have a couple of calls
Yeah.
and then make a deal. It doesn't work. You have to meet a person in person.
Well, it makes sense.
It makes sense, but still, in this post-COVID era, everything works so remotely. And actually, we can say that COVID is a bad situation, that so many people died, and we had problems with economy and stuff like that. But still, COVID boosted up a lot of spheres, a lot of domains. For example, delivery of everything to your door. That was not so, it was developed before COVID, but after COVID, these domains boosted up and they, made it perfectly well. You can, ask something for delivery and they will deliver it to your door in 30, 40 minutes. Products, medicines, drugs, whatever. Like everything works remotely. Especially I'm talking about food delivery domain. Like it rocket boosted after COVID and many other spheres too. Like for example, Zoom. I remember, have you ever used Zoom? This meeting rooms. So Zoom, it was quite well known in the world, I think, before COVID. But after COVID, the prices of their shares, they skyrocketed also. So the company, when the COVID broke out, they started making this product better because a lot of people started using Zoom because they didn't have ability to go out. They needed to use something to speak with people online. So many people started using Zoom. And maybe some problems occurred with accessibility. Maybe the servers were overloaded or something like that. So the company was trying to fix that problem. And in the end, as a result, their shares on the market skyrocketed, and the company costs now a lot, much more than before COVID. So for them, it was like good.
Yeah.
COVID was good. And I believe also the COVID boosted a lot of medicine research and stuff like that. So to produce vaccination, to produce all this, to deliver all this research that is necessary to beat down COVID. So basically, a lot of medical workers were hired to do this job. Researchers, like medical personnel in the hospitals to take care of all these people,
Yeah.
So, and they earned a lot of money, I think. Well, even in Russia. So in Russia, all these medical personnel, they don't earn much working as a medical personnel. But after COVID, their salaries raised pretty much, like 3, 4, 5 times, maybe 10. The people that were working in these facilities where COVID infected people were, lying, spending time. So this personnel, they had very high salary in comparison to the average salary of a usual medical worker. So for them, it was also good, like a boost.
Yeah.
It was risky. That's why it was paid much more than the usual medical worker. So anyway, yeah.
But for example, for the shops to face, it ruined them a little bit.
It what?
Like ruined them.
Ruin, you think?
Yeah, because now with the online shopping, people don't go too much to the shops, like normal shops.
It's true. I have never thought about that. Yeah, probably some businesses shut down.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, because of that. So anyway, your name is Paula Qian Ricoy Fernandez. So it's 4 units in the name. I wanted to ask you about your name. For example, my name is, I was born in Russia. I'm originally Russian, and my mother is half Russian, half Ukrainian, and my father is half Greek, half Georgian, something like that. So I have a mixed blood. But in Russia, usually, we have 3 units in our name. So in order to give a person a full name, you usually say 3 words. My name is Kalinin Bogdan Tairovich. So it consists of 3. In Europe, in contrast, they usually have 2, right? Like John Nelson or something like that. They don't have 3. They only have 2. Yeah. You have 4. So I'm going to explain it on my example. So my name is Bogdan. Kalinin is my surname. And my surname, we usually adopted from our parents. And not only parents, but fathers. Because when my mother married my father, she took his surname. So she adopted his surname, and that's how it works in Russia and probably in all over the world. Yeah. So women, when they get married, they change their surname and they adopt the surname of their husband. Does it work like that in Spain?
No, not
Okay.
really.
Okay, so in Russia it works like that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, patriarchy approach. So you like throw away, if you're a woman and you're getting married, you throw away your own surname and adopt the husband's surname. That's why women have usually they have two surnames. The maiden name, which was her surname originally, and the name after the surname after the marriage. So my name is Bogdan. My surname is Kalinin, which was adopted from the father, so to say, and from my mother's husband. And the third is Tairovich, so it's a father's name. My father's name is Tair, and that's why I am Tairovich, which is like this, which if we try to translate that, it's the son of Tair, Tairovich. So my name consists of three. Tell me about your name. And which is surprising to have you as a Spanish, which usually have two units in the name. You have four instead. So it's Paula Qian Ricoy Fernandez. Tell me about your name.
Because my name is just Paula Qian, and then my surnames are Ricoy Fernandez.
But it's a double name and double surname.
Mm-hmm.
Could you please unfold that?
Yeah. Paula, it's because the grandmother of my father was called like that, and they decided to call me like that. Qian, because to the girls from the orphanage in China, they put us that surname, Qian, because the district of China was Qianyang.
Mm-hmm.
And Ricoy from my mother, the surname of her, and Fernandez from my father, the surname of him.
So we unfolded another topic, which is orphanage, right? Mm-hmm. So you were adopted from China and brought to Europe, to Spain, by your nowadays parents. Mm-hmm. So they decided to give you two names, like Paula, which is Spanish name originally, right? Mm-hmm. And Qian is like a Chinese second name, which was named after the district where this orphanage was based, right? Mm-hmm. So it's cool. And Paula Qian, is it usually written with a dash or with just a space?
A space.
Okay. Yeah. And Ricoy Fernandez, so Ricoy is like the surname of your father and Fernandez from your mother, right?
The opposite.
Vice versa. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, because they liked more Ricoy than Fernandez.
So you mean you could have put it Fernandez Ricoy? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
It's the usual thing that they do. Like first the father and then the mother.
Ah, okay. But also some patriarchic approach. Father is the first. Okay, it's interesting. And in terms of adoption, so I'm not sure if it's, how private this question is. Would you like to discuss it a little bit? Or we can? Okay. So you were adopted. Tell me about it, briefly at least.
I was adopted when I was 9 months, and that's it. Like, they brought me to Spain.
So your parents are originally Spanish. Mm-hmm. And do you know why they decided to go to China? Was it the easiest way to adopt a child, or they have other reasons why to adopt exactly from China?
I don't really know.
You don't know?
They wanted a Chinese girl, I think. I don't know.
Well, I talked to your father, to be honest, about that a little bit, because, we are acquainted. And as far as I understood, China was the easiest, probably, I can be mistaken, but probably China was one of the easiest options. Because, for example, to adopt a child from Russia, it could took 3-4 years. And your father was telling me the story, so they were comparing different options. And I don't remember the exact country, but if in China the adoption could take less than a year, in other countries it's like 3 years. So it's the documentation, going there, making visas, whatever. So they decided to use the Chinese option. Maybe that's the reason, maybe not.
Yeah.
You should ask your father.
Sense.
It makes sense, yeah. But I saw the pictures when you were adopted. Like you are so completely lost. Maybe we're gonna pull out the pictures on the screen. Okay. But how often do you discuss this with your parents, the adoption process and the adoption itself?
Never.
Never.
Like,
Why?
because I don't know, like it's not like a normal topic to talk about, like a daily life topic.
Well, I'm not talking about this every day, but from time to time, I can imagine that when you were a kid, at some point, at some age, you started realizing that you are adopted, right? Is that correct? Or you didn't think about these?
Like it was obvious.
When it became obvious to you? At what age? Can you remember?
I don't really know the age, but I think that I knew it like from the first moment.
Yeah.
Like it's so obvious. Like I look in the mirror.
But you cannot remember the exact age where you realized?
No.
Okay. Because it's so interesting to me. Because, in my circle, I think I don't have friends that were adopted. So this sphere, this domain is completely dark to me. Well, not dark. I mean, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So how it works and how it feels also for a person who is adopted. Because, it's not a usual case, I think, to be adopted from another country and to be brought to another country. That impresses me a lot.
Well, in Spain, I think it's more normalized.
Really?
And like these last years, even more, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not like the typical thing that you see in movies, like, oh, you're adopted, and the kid goes like, oh my God, I didn't know.
Oh.
No.
Well, yeah, it's a Hollywood story, more of a Hollywood story. Like, son, we have to tell you something. You were adopted from a Mowgli family in the deep forest. You should know the truth. Oh. Could you please pull the mic a little bit?
Okay.
No, just pull it to yourself. Yeah. Make yourself comfortable. I mean closer.
Closer?
Just a little bit, yeah.
If not?
No, I mean closer to you. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Something like that. I think it's good. We're gonna check.
Hello?
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 Hello again. Okay. But how often do you think about it yourself? When you meet your parents, when you live your life, when you interact with your friends, how often do you think about this? It's like absolutely normal thing to you right now, right? You just got used to it.
Yeah. I don't really think about that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how often, if you do you think about your real biological parents?
I don't really do either.
Yeah?
No.
And the fact that you were adopted, does it hurt your feelings in any way? Like about your biological parents that they, left you or something like that? No?
No, not really. No. Because like my parents, they are giving me like a very good life. So I cannot ask for more. Yeah.
Well, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Okay. And what I wanted to ask you also, right now we're in Istanbul, so our setup is based in Istanbul now. How did you come to Istanbul in the first place? So your permanent place of residence is Spain. What brought you to Istanbul, Turkey?
The Erasmus program that it's usually made like in the third year of career. And yeah, like
Okay, for our listeners, we should explain it a little bit. So career in Spain, the students call career their education program. That's called career, maybe not only in Spain, maybe in the European Union too. But when you told about me for the first time, the career, I just got lost a little bit. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean career? Because we usually, well, for example, in my mind, career is something that is connected to work, not to students' life. But yeah, in your case, it's the student's life.
Yeah.
So it's Erasmus program, students exchange program that let you travel for 1 year to Turkey from Spain.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
But these programs, so are all students offered this opportunity at some year of education to travel, to take part in an exchange program, or not?
No, yes, like everyone can sign up for it, and then they check like your grades, and if there is like many demand, many people want to go to a destiny, they like see your grades, and the one that has better grades can go to it. Yeah.
So they do some assessment, right, in terms of grades and how successful you are as a student. So they don't offer it to everybody, only to the best. Correct?
Oh no, like to everyone, but you put like in a list the preferences that you want, like the countries you prefer, and then they assign it to you like according to the grades. Yeah.
So were your grades so poor or so good that they sent you to Turkey?
Honestly, like in my university, only 10 people sign up for the program
Out of how many?
out of, I don't know, like 60 or 70. Yeah.
Okay. So the rest preferred staying at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't like cover all your like all your costs. Yeah.
That's another question that I wanted to ask. So they partially refund. I mean, the government, the university, they partially make a refund, right, for this students exchange program for traveling, accommodation, maybe something else, right?
Well, it depends on the university in which you are. For example, I'm in a private university, so they only found me like, I don't know, like a little bit less than 800 euros per quadrimester per 4 months.
Quadrimester.
Yeah.
It's half of a semester.
No, it's like 4 months.
Quadrimester.
Yeah.
What a word.
I don't know. I know it in Spanish, but in English.
Well, it sounds alien to me.
Like
Quadrimester. It sounds like a spell from Harry Potter, you know. Quadrimester. That's funny. And, well, you love traveling, so it's a good choice for you, I think, you know, to explore Turkey and some other parts of the world. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
But do you like living in Turkey?
Yeah, I like it. Like people are very hospitable, and I don't know. It's like they are very kind. Many noise of cars, but yeah, I like it.
Okay.
And having a lot of cats. And dogs.
Yeah. Plus. Agree. But speaking about your languages that you speak, so you don't speak Chinese,
No.
but you're originally Chinese. You speak Spanish and English, right? Something else?
No.
A little bit of Russian now, since we're acquainted for a couple of months. No.
Yeah.
What Russian word do you remember? Tell me top 3 words that you have in your vocabulary right now.
Relse.
Okay, the railroad.
Spendik.
Spendik. Yes, like a little boy, little naughty boy. Spendik.
And привет.
Okay. Hola.
Yeah.
Cool. And speaking about your English, you once told me that in the high school, in the middle school, and like other types of schools, when you were a pupil, you were educated. So they gave you some disciplines in English instead of Spanish. Could you please unfold this a little bit also?
In primary school, they let you choose. For example, in my school that was public and it was bilingual, you could choose like if you wanted to teach like most of the lessons in English or in Spanish, such as science, arts and crafts, I think, physical education. Well, that was in English obligatory, and yeah, like biology and that stuff.
That's cool. But does it work like that in all Spanish schools or only in some private schools?
Well, mine was public, so I don't really know. I think that there are some public schools that are bilingual and some of them that are not. So it
Okay.
depends. Yeah.
But is it a private school or a public school that you enrolled in?
Public.
Public.
Yeah.
And public schools, they also require some money to be paid or not? Or it's completely free?
It's free because you pay like with your taxes. Yeah.
Okay. In Russia, all public schools are free, but sometimes, quite often, to be honest, parents have to collect money for buying some stuff that the school cannot afford, like boards or some, pieces of what we call it, the thing that they write on the board.
Of chalk.
Chalk. Yeah. Okay. And some other stuff. And also, it's quite expensive to buy all the things that a pupil need.
Yeah.
Like you have to buy a backpack,
The books.
the notebooks, all these pencils and pens, and a lot of stuff. And yeah, it takes a lot of money, actually, which schools do not refund. Yeah, and we pay taxes too. But anyway, at least it's free.
Yeah.
Well, and education in Russia, at least the school one and the university one, the higher one, they are pretty good. Well, it depends on the location, of course. But the problem with education system in Russia is that teachers a teacher as a profession, it is not treated good because teachers, they usually earn so little. They cannot live off a teacher's salary. That's why they have to, work and find the second job or even a third job to survive. That's the problem, the motivation of teachers. So teachers are not motivated to invest a lot of time and efforts into a pupil's education. Their best interest is just to have a lesson with minimum losses. And usually another problem is that these classes, they usually consist of 25, 30 people, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot of kids. And all the kids, they are all different. And when they're young, they are so active. Like some of them are hyperactive. And you don't have time and, you don't have maybe motivation to find a personal approach to each and every pupil that you have in your class. So it's kind of a nightmare for a young teacher, especially now, because kids, they are not easy now. They all have gadgets and they are easily distracted. And if they have some like problems at home, like, home violence or something like that, they start copying this behavior and they bring it to school eventually. And sometimes they cannot interact easily with a teacher. Like teacher cannot find the proper leverage to find the approach to a pupil. And like they start fighting, not with hands, of course, but yeah, that's the problem. That's a big problem. And I'm pretty sure many people and in many countries, they address this question a lot because it seems like education is the most important part of developing, because this is the first stages of your development as a person. So it should, like, the teacher's salary should be good, not the way it works now. And teachers have to have motivation to do that. So money can enhance this motivation, probably.
Yeah.
What else I don't really know, but at least fix that. But yeah, it's a big problem in Russia. They don't earn much. Yeah, and they don't really think. And the kids, they're difficult.
Yeah,
Humans.
very difficult.
Yeah. Well, I was a good pupil in school. Actually, I was born in 1993. I'm 30 years old now. And when I was a pupil, I interacted with this old era teachers. Like, my teachers were 40, 50 years old. Now, teachers are much younger because this old, what do we call it, generation.
Mm-hmm.
So there are old and new generations of teachers right now. And when I was a kid, we have old generation teachers. They were very experienced. They had Soviet education, and they were like more or less conservative. But anyway, you could always find a mutual ground speaking to a teacher. They would help you, and they would, support you and motivate you. And now, these old generations, with time, they are substituted by the new generation teachers, which don't have any experience working with children. They are young themselves, and they don't have this stamina with these young kids, to live, to get well with them. And yeah, like, I was lucky back then because my teachers, they were so cool. They were old, and you respected them also. Because when you see young teacher, which is, sometimes with this young generation teachers, the difference can be 10, 15 years. Well, not 10, maybe 15 years. And it's not a big, like, imagine you are 15 and your teacher is 25. Well, it's not a big difference, right? Even sometimes teachers are even younger now. So, but I was lucky, I had old, mature teachers. So
They are the less vocational ones.
Vocational?
Vocational. Yeah.
Ah, you mean young ones?
No, like the old ones are like the most burned
vocational.
out.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, maybe burned out by time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. It always seems that it was better in the past. Maybe it's not true. Okay. Tell me a little bit about Spain. So, as far as I know, people in Spain, they are separated, and there are historical and cultural reasons for them to be separated.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I didn't research, honestly, I didn't research this domain, but as far as I know, there are even multiple languages within Spain, and people from different regions don't understand each other. So could you please tell me this? What is it? How is it?
For example, there are like the Basque country that they speak Euskera, and I don't know, like, it's very difficult for me. And also, like, in Galicia, they have their own language also, and in Catalonia also, and in Valencia also. I think that's it.
So it's like basically 3 different languages in 3 different countries? Or regions, rather.
Like provinces for 4 different languages. Yeah. But they also speak Spanish.
Ah, so they know 2 languages. They acquire 2 languages, the official Spanish and their own local.
Yeah. But for example, I met a girl from the Basque country, and she told me that like, she had the classes in Euskera.
Classes?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
so
the
there are some
lessons.
schools?
No, yeah, like in high school, they taught her maths and language, no, but maths and other things in Euskera. Yeah.
Interesting. But why is it so? Spain is not a really big country, but still it has different provinces. Why do they have different languages, and why is it so? Do you know?
I don't really know.
Yeah. We have to research this.
Yeah.
It's interesting. But Do you feel the separation when you travel around Spain? Like, do you feel or see or hear some hatred from other provinces, from people that live in other provinces toward you?
Not really, but for example, with Catalonia, like most of Spain hates them because they wanted like the independence and that. And I have never traveled to Catalonia except like to a theme park when I was a kid. And like, but what they have told me is that they are very like their own, you know, like very close to people.
Like close community.
Yeah, but I don't really know.
Okay. Well, it reminds me a lot about Russia. So Russia is a federative state. It's called Russian Federation officially. And this word federation, it means that the country consists of multiple regions. So in Russia, I don't remember how many. We have like 30 or 40 different regions. And back before 1991, Russia was the USSR. So it was a huge state. And then it collapsed in 1991. And all these regions, which actually were comprised of different nations, they started asking for independence. And with some parts went away from Russia and became independent, but some, they were severely oppressed not to let them be independent because, well, Russia is a big state and we have some strategic regions that are not easily to let go.
Yeah.
And that's why people suffer in these regions. For example, we have a Chechen Republic, so it's kind of the same, like province, a province, like a separate province, but inside of Russian Federation state. And after the Soviet Union collapsed, they started asking for independence. But Russia would never give them independence because they are based on Caucasus Mountains. And Caucasus Mountains is a mountain chain that protects Russia from a lot of other like countries on the Middle East and in Europe too. And it's you have little roads in these mountains that are heavily protected. And this region, so if this region goes away, it means that you lose the strategic defensive point with mountains and stuff like that. So it's a lot about, so like, of course, everybody wants to be independent, but it's not always easy.
Yeah.
Because some countries finally gained independence, like Kazakhstan, for example. So it was the part of Russia, which was called USSR back then. But now it's independent, kind of. But of course, it has a lot of economical and political ties with Russia, definitely. So it's nominally independent, but de facto not, because they still have a lot of connections. And the same is true for Georgia, for example. Have you ever traveled to Georgia?
No.
Well, it's a state not far from Russia. Also, Turkey has a mutual border with Georgia, and Georgia has Caucasus Mountains too. So this is the strategic region. So Georgia also gained independence after Soviet Union collapsed. And then they wanted to join the EU, but Russia wouldn't let it. Russia didn't let Georgia to become a part of Europe because it was kind of a vulnerability for Russia to let Georgia do that. Well, at least Georgia gained independence, but when they decided to join the EU, Russia sent military people there. It was in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. So the war in Georgia, it was not long, but some people died. Yeah. So yes, big politics.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope that. What do you think? What are your what are your expectations about Spain? Do you think the Catalonians, right, will inevitably gain independence in the future, or?
Oh, I don't think so.
No?
No.
You think the government won't let it?
Yeah, because like it's the second city that provides the most money, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you think they Catalonians cannot leave themselves without the support of the main government?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a very important question. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know.
But could you please tell me some, unique Spanish features of Spanish people? Like something very specific that is only true about Spanish. Do you know? Have you ever thought about that?
Such as like.
I don't really know. For example, well, there are a lot of myths about every nation, right? And for example, there is a myth about Russians that they, drink a lot of vodka and fight bears and play balalaika. Like every Russian knows how to play balalaika. This is, unique Russian guitar, kind of, with 3 strings, or maybe 2 even. So, which is true, but partially true, like 20% true. Because there are some people who, fight bears. For example, the Khabib Nurmagomedov. Do you remember? We were talking about UFC, and because your brother is a fighter, and I did Muay Thai too. So when we were discussing Khabib Nurmagomedov, the Russian fighter that had a UFC career, and he did more artificial arts, and we came out of he finished his career undefeated. So he had a lot of fights, but nobody could defeat them, win him. Why am I saying about that? I'm lost a little bit.
I don't know, really, because of the myths.
Oh, myths. Okay, yeah, and Khabib. Thank you very much for that. So in Khabib, there is a video on YouTube where Khabib is fighting a bear.
Oh,
when he was a kid, and his father is shooting like, come on, you can do it. Of course, the bear is not big. It's like it was a small bear, like a bear kid.
Yeah.
But Khabib was also a kid. They were fighting, so which actually proves that Russians fight bears from time to time. Like 0.0001% of Russians fight bears. But there are other features that are not myths but true to our nation, to Russians. For example, since Russian people had a lot of suffering in the history because we had this president and Tsars that severely oppressed people, and Russia, and the climate is very cold. In most part of Russia, the snow lies more than 6 months a year, maybe half of Russia. And some parts of Siberia, which is far east Russia, the snow never melts in this region. So the climate affects us, and the history affects us. And Russian people, they are usually they are by themselves, they are closed. They are not open-minded because of the climate and history, because they suffered a lot, and because the climate is so cold that you don't have time to interact a lot with people. You're trying to, get warm, and you're not like that. You won't chat on a street with some strangers because you need to, save your warmth inside, and you need to move from house to house to survive, basically. And that's why, the unique feature of Russians, I think they are kind of by themselves. It's not okay. It's not unique. It's not unique. There are some other nations like that. But in terms of suffering, so for example, in Russian language, we have a lot of words that describe suffering, different kinds of, and different colors of suffering, different measures, different levels of suffering. That is very unique because no other language has so many words describing suffer. So that's unique. Do you have something like that in Spanish? Well, Spanish people, they are very open-minded, right?
Well, depends on the people. Like, it depends very much.
But generally, no?
Well, it depends on your friends and with the people that with you interact with. But there are some really open-minded, and there are other ones that are a little bit fascist.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So yeah, you can find like both of them really easily,
Okay.
like 50-50.
Well, when I imagine Spain, I like, maybe it's a myth and prejudice, but I think a Spanish nation, it is known for a very good wine and a very good types of dancing styles and open-mindedness and a lot of sun, chill,
Well,
weed.
depends. Yeah.
Depends. Yeah.
Like on the part of Spain. But yeah, like
But
open-minded.
okay, it depends. But
Yeah.
do Spanish people dance on the streets like bachata or whatever? It's not. Is it Spanish? No,
Bachata, I
or it's
think
like
it's
Latin American
Latin. Yeah. Like they are known for flamenco,
flamenco.
but that's like in the south, and like you cannot see like people dancing in the street flamenco.
Yeah.
Only if you go like to a pub or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Because which is even crazier that in Russia we have during summer we have this sudden spots on the streets where people put on the audio system, put on some music like Spanish guitar or something, and they start dancing. I don't know what is it. It's maybe it's Latin American, maybe it's Spanish, but it's definitely something about bachata or flamenco. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in dancing, but I like. Well, do you like flamenco?
Well, the music, yeah, but I've never danced it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like in Spain, they put like for example in Madrid, you can go like mostly in summer, and there are some parties in the street, like they put music, and people are dancing, but mostly or reggaeton or techno and that stuff.
So some modern stuff
Yeah.
on the streets. Okay. Well, that's fine. And so, since you love traveling and you've been to many, many countries, how many countries have you been to? Have you ever counted?
Not really.
We can count it now.
Okay.
Okay, let's make a list.
Okay.
I'm gonna use my fingers.
So, Italy, Greece,
Spain,
Spain, yeah, Australia, Canada, United States, what else? France, Thailand. I'm thinking. I don't really know.
Okay, I counted 8,
Yeah,
but
more or less.
it's cool.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask about pros and cons of living in Spain in comparison to other countries. Have you ever thought about that?
Well, now that I'm in Istanbul, I realize more. But like when I traveled to other countries, I was really little and I don't remember it very much. And I didn't like notice like the real things, only like the tourist things. Yeah.
Okay. But, well, you mentioned many times that in Spain, your purse can be stolen easily. So you better not leaving your stuff on the street or anywhere. You should, look after it.
Because the Spanish people are really thieves.
Which is so strange to me because, you always think about the Spanish people. It's like a nation of, open-mindedness and trust and,
Oh, no trust.
no.
Not at all.
Because, usually open-minded people that live in a warm climate like Spain, they usually trust each other. Because, like, most of the time you have good climate, you don't need to survive a lot. That's why you have more time to interact with people, to build your community, to talk to strangers, to tourists, and exchange feelings and experience whatever. But when you tell me that Spanish people are thieves, which is so strange to me, like why? Why
Well,
is it
not
so?
not all of them, but like many people steal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good comparison if we compare Spain with Turkey, because in Turkey you can leave your stuff anywhere and probably nobody gonna steal it. Only, well, of course, if we talk about tourist places in the Fatih, down the old city, there maybe yes, some people can take advantage of you as a tourist being unprotected or not paying attention, and they can steal something, especially when you just leave it on the street. But apart from the downtown, I think, well, I have never encountered this situation. So nobody have ever stolen something from me when I lived in, and I have been living here in Turkey since for 1 year and a half. And for example, when I come to a gym, I can see people putting off their mobile phones on the, so there is in the middle of the gym room, there is a barrels that stand there for putting some stuff like water, some towels, whatever. And they put their phones there too, and nobody is scared that their telephones can be stolen. And of course, this is a modern gym, so they probably have a lot of cameras, so people don't risk stealing, even if they want. But I think they don't want. And I actually think that that's because of the Turkey is a religious country, so it's a Muslim country, and in Muslim, maybe that is my theory, that in Muslim countries, religious people, they don't steal because stealing is a sin, you know.
But for example, one friend told me that to another friend they stole her phone in a party, and to another girl also. So.
But was it stolen by Turkish or not? Maybe it was stolen by
I don't
somebody
know.
else. Well, you never know. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that Turkey is 100% trusted. Like,
Yeah.
if you're in Turkey, you shouldn't pay attention to anything. No, of course, I'm not saying that. But I mean, the level of trust probably much higher than in Spain. At least
Yeah.
from what I can feel from you telling me stories about Spain. For example, remember we were visiting this arcade center with computer games and stuff, and arcade games. So I wanted to leave my things just at some random place, and you said no, like we're not leaving our jackets. And that was only jackets. I put everything out, like my wallet, my telephone, it was on me. And I wanted to leave my jacket just in a random place, not to bury it everywhere, because it's not comfortable. And you said no, we're gonna take it with me, the jackets. And I asked you, but who's gonna steal my jacket? And you answered, like, in Spain they have steal your jacket.
Yeah.
Like, why? It's like, what the
I don't know. Maybe I'm also a little bit paranoid because of that. And I'm always like taking care of my things and like keeping them very close.
Well, I think you are paranoid, but there is a reason why you are paranoid. How many times you were stolen? Some things were stolen from you.
Never.
In Spain,
Because
never?
I always carry them very close.
Okay, but what caused this paranoia? So some of your friends, some of your friends were stolen, or what is the reason, like, of this paranoia? There should be a reason, right?
Well, I don't know. I heard like, for example, in Madrid, there are like pickpockets. I think it's called.
Pickpocketing, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah.
So
I don't know.
pickpocketing is when somebody is stealing something from you in a crowded place like a bus or a big queue. When they put something out of your pockets directly, using this crowdness, because when you're in a crowded place and you touch many people, you don't feel the pickpocketer when he gets his hand in your pockets and puts something away, and they do it professionally. It's like, for example, in Russia, pickpocketers were the highest in the hierarchy of criminals, pickpocketers, because you need to have a lot of sort of expertise and practice to do that without the other person noticing it.
Yeah.
So and like if you're a pickpocketer, it means that you're very experienced and you're like cool criminal. You know.
Yeah.
Would you like to crack some beer?
Okay.
Yeah. Because I have some. Okay, some ice.
Oh, what a sound.
Oh yeah.
Thank
Enjoy.
you.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna share it with you.
Okay.
Because I don't want the whole bottle, and I'm drinking some Red Bull
Yeah, better
to stay
share.
active. So, you're a student of psychology. Well, it's fine, baby. It's all good. It's a podcast. You don't like you can produce any sound you like. We can smoke here if you want. Would you like to smoke?
I would like it.
We can smoke. Yeah, we can make a pause because I need to check the cameras.
Okay.
Okay? Okay.
Okay.
Pausing, guys. We're gonna be right back. Okay, we're right back. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Where we are. So I wanted to ask about your education. So now you're doing your 3rd year of higher education, and in total it's 4. So it's a bachelor's degree. And you learn psychology. Was it your own decision to learn psychology, to study it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
At what age did you realize that you would like to enroll a course of psychology?
At 16 years old.
16?
Yeah.
And what was the reason that you chose it?
Because I went to the psychologist and
Yeah?
I decided like, oh, I like it. Yeah, like.
And why did you go to a psychologist? Why did you decide? Did you have some mental problems?
No, but.
But something brought you to a psychologist.
Yeah.
What? What it was?
Because like when I was 15 years old, more or less, like I didn't know how to manage my emotions. So I cut it myself. And that's
You
why.
cut yourself? Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah.
You mean the arm?
Uh-huh.
At home?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're
So
like
that's why.
saying it so happy.
Yeah, that's why.
Jesus Christ.
And my parents saw it, so they decided to bring me to the psychology.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
You cut yourself.
Yeah.
So you committed suicide.
No suicide, like self-harm, I think it's
Okay.
called. Yeah.
How much blood? How many liters did you lose?
I don't know.
Did you do it in the bathroom?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Like, when I see you, the last thing I can think about is you committing a suicide or harming yourself. Like,
Yeah.
because you're so happy person in general.
Yeah.
But okay, what was the reason you decided to cut yourself? Like, you mentioned you were trying to get along with your emotions and you couldn't resist some emotions. What emotions? Like, was it connected to relationships with your boyfriend or with your parents? What it was?
Well, like I don't know, like because I was sad, and yeah,
Sad because of what? Like apathy?
not
Like
apathy,
sadness?
like I don't know, like like I don't know, like I wasn't comfort with myself, and yeah, that's why.
Well, I always thought that people need to have much harder reasons to cut themselves.
Yeah.
Like having a big debt of money, or having a very bad relationships with your parents or with your fellow students or fellow pupils in school, like, or I don't know, when you split up with your boyfriend and you cannot resist some emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and you like, usually people do these things, I think, when they see no other way. Like the only way they see
But
is to just shut down completely.
but that's like for committing suicide.
And it was not in your case, right?
No.
But what emotions? Like sadness?
Mm-hmm.
Always sad?
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure that all these situations are very individual, but I think I can relate because I'm trying to bring down my apathy from time to time, which happens usually for no reason. At least it seems like you have no reason to be sad. Like everything is fine. You have a job, you have some relationships, you have friends, close ones, and generally everything is good. But in my case, sometimes apathy gets me. Like I see no meaning in everything. For example, I pull up the YouTube, I open up the feed, start scrolling, and all these videos, all these topics, they don't interest me much. Like, and then I wake up in the morning, like, and I like feel like, oh, this is just another day. I have to make a breakfast. I have breakfast and go to a job, and but it's also meaningless to me. Sometimes I feel that. So it's called apathy, and there are many reasons what can cause apathy, but in my case, probably most of the time it's just the lack of physical activity, because it helps me a lot. When I go to a gym, and in a couple of sessions I feel much better. So I start seeing meaning in life and in just some basic things. Like in the videos on YouTube, in my job, in my relationships, I start seeing more meaning. But sometimes it gets me, the apathy, and I'm like, oh shit, like another day. Like, what is the meaning? Why am I like, what is the purpose of life? What am I doing with my life? Yeah, but now it's good. Like I feel good.
I'm glad to hear that.
But there was one point when I also wanted to commit a suicide. And it was like, I did drugs and I did it not responsibly. And it was for the first time I tried, kind of. And nobody tell me that, but I didn't know that this kind of drugs that I used, it has a very long and very depressed outcome. So after 2 weeks of taking this pills, you just feel so depressed, and that's like normal because your hormones go down. You have a hormone shift, and you feel very depressed. But I didn't know that. I just buried myself in this depression, and at some point I started Googling, like, what is the way? How can I, commit a suicide with pills? So, and it was, thanks God, somehow I went out of this depressing mood. But it was so funny, like at some point when I was depressed after taking all those drugs, me and my brother, we were playing checkers. Not chess, but checkers. The easier, well, this is the game. Looks like chess, but easier.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my younger brother. We have 8 years difference. So I was like 20 and he was like 12 or something. And we started playing checkers. And he defeated me 2 or 3 times. And I caught myself on a thought that, oh shit, like my younger brother like defeats me in checkers. Like, what's the point? I'm 20 years old. I'm like a grown up, but I cannot even win my younger brother playing checkers. Like
Yeah.
life doesn't have any sense. You know?
Because of a game, baby.
Because of what?
A game.
Yeah, that's what can happen to you when you're depressed.
Yeah,
Very
like
simple
everything.
thing can beat you down. Yeah. That's why, guys, if you take pills or something like that, if you sniff, like be careful. Usually, first of all, don't do that because drugs is bad. Drugs doesn't bring you joy.
Mm.
The joy, well, it can bring you joy, but for a short amount of time. But you can
Yeah.
find this joy in the real life because
Mhm.
the real life is beautiful.
Yeah.
We just get used to this and we take it granted, and we don't see how beautiful life is. We should just pay attention. Yeah. And drugs, well, they if you take them responsibly with a mediator, it can, maybe help you to answer some questions. But in the end, you come to realization that you can be happy without any substances.
Yeah.
Being sober. Well, at least in my case, I know this is the question of addiction. So some people are addicted to some drugs, but I'm not that type. So feel myself much better when I'm sober. So sobriety is my way, definitely. So when I change my state of conscious using drugs, I usually feel insecure, very, very insecure. And yeah, it doesn't help me in any way. I know people that are heavily on weed and it helps them a lot. Like they are successful on their job, they're successful in their relationships and their families, but they still go on smoking and stuff. But I cannot. Like I love sobriety much more.
Better.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
better, much better. But getting back to the question, why did you? Well, you told me that you were trying to beat down depression. You found a psychologist, and it impressed you, right?
Yeah.
So and you decided like, wow, what a cool job it can be, right? To help people get out of depression or something.
And also because like at that time, then like 2 years later, like in second of high school, not second of high school, like the bachillerato. I don't know how is it called.
Spanish words again.
Yeah. Like I taught psychology in class, so I really liked it, and I had like a really great teacher, and yeah.
But what part of psychology? Because psychology generally, it's a great domain. It consists of many different subdomains. What impressed you most?
The different like diseases that the people have, like mental diseases, and yeah, like mostly like the clinical psychology. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and are you inspired to finish your education and become a psychologist, like a practitioner?
Yeah, but like lately I've been thinking about doing like forensic psychology more than clinical psychology. Yeah.
Forensic. Yeah. Sounds very interesting. So, is it about, like, for example, create a portrait of some criminal that is a serial killer? Is that forensic psychology or not?
It's like in prisons, they like most of the times, or I don't know, I think like in every prison, there is a psychologist. So
In
that's the
prisons?
job.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
called forensic. I think it has a broader meaning, but anyway. What else? If you're a forensic psychologist, what is your daily job? Do you imagine?
Well, like evaluating like the prisoners and how they are improving and helping them. Yeah.
But it's not only about prisoners, right? But it's usually connected to some criminal activity, right?
Yeah.
I think also it's about when you have a serial killer, but you cannot catch him or her, and you don't know who is that, but you have some traits, or he leaves some, I don't know, messages on the place of where he committed some criminal activity. And you need to understand his motivation, his motives, and try to create a portrait of these people. Like, how old is he or she? Like, what is his job? What other characteristics there can be, to understand, like, to shortlist the possible people that can, commit some criminal deed. Maybe it's also about that.
Maybe, yeah.
But do you have like a small, in this program that you have, do you have a forensic psychology discipline?
No, it's more like to do a master degree, like after the bachelor's.
Are you planning?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, I also have a psychologist. From time to time, I get back to him. A very good guy. Like 35 years old. Understands me pretty much. Well, at least he is showing that he understands. And yeah, he gives me some good practical exercises. And yeah, what makes a good psychologist, I think, is the ability to ask the right questions and really understand what's happening inside of your mind, which is very difficult. Because you as a person, when you answer the psychologist's questions, you can give him some answers and stuff, but you can even deceive yourself. So you can give incorrect answers. And the work of psychologist is to understand what is the real answer to a question. Like, what do you really feel? Not what you're saying, but what you're implying by saying this or that, Like something in between of the lines that you don't tell, but they should recognize it, some patterns. Because we may think that the reason of some problems that we have as people that go to psychologists is this, and that. But in reality, it can be totally different. And you may have some reasons that you don't even realize. That was how it happened in my case. So when I asked for a psychologist for the first time, I think the reason was my relationships with my ex. So I was kind of depressed and I didn't see any future with my ex. And it bothered me a lot. Like, is it the right way that I'm doing? Like, and why am I so depressed? And why am I so nervous when I interact with her? And yeah, he started asking questions. And well, to make a long story short, the reason that was lying behind everything that I told him was the reason that I have never thought before. Which, well, in my case, it was relationships with my parents. And in many cases, it's that. Like, it's quite obvious that all our previous communication affects us, affect who we are, affects who we are as a personality. But I have never thought that the reason can be somewhere back in my childhood, connected to the relationships with my parents. So, and he kind of diagnosed that, and he gave me some insights that I have never thought before. But yeah, it helped me a lot. So guys, if you feel depressed or you have some questions that you cannot answer, better go to don't bury yourself in all these questions and thoughts, because they can be decisive. You can think that, go to a psychologist, find a good one. Maybe it's going to take 2 or 3 times to find a good one, because you have to have a connection with your psychologist. And that's not always the case. For example, before I have another psychologist, which was good, but I didn't manage to, feel secure speaking to her. with my psychologist, so I decided to switch. And my friends told me, like, come on, man, let's just give it a try, another one. Find another psychologist. When I tried it, and it worked in my case.
You're really lucky to find it like for the second time.
Yeah? You think it even requires more times?
Yeah.
Fine.
Like I've went to 5 psychologists and none of them
Jesus, 5?
And I didn't like them.
Wow, 5, that's impressive. Yeah. So yeah, the very, non-original advice, like if you have problems, go to a psychologist. It really works now, because the problem with psychology is that many people don't, like, for many people, psychology domain is kind of a decisive domain. So they don't believe in psychology. They don't believe that it's a science. They think that psychologists are people who just, looking for your wallet and your money. And they like talk to you and nod at you like, yes, we understand. But then do nothing. But sometimes that's the case, but not always. I'm pretty sure there are psychologists that are not trying to cure, really, who are trying just to get money. Probably there are some psychologists like that, but you should find the proper one. And nobody has ever taught us in school that we need to also learn something about ourselves. In schools and in university, we usually research something that is outside of our mind, right? Math, biology, geography, physics, chemistry, that's all connected to something that's outside of our mind, like the outer world. But nobody teaches us to see inside from time to time and to, work out some thoughts and feelings that we have inside. Nobody teaches us that in school, right? That's why some people don't even know that there is a psychology, and they like bury themselves in all these problems, which is connected to family or work, relationships, whatever. And they don't trust psychologists. But now, since we live in a modern world, psychologists became they gained popularity. I mean, many people realize that they have some problems that they cannot solve, and they don't really know how to solve it. And they need to find a person who will help them to look inside and also to research the inner domain, not only the outer domain,
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. So, do you think that emotional intelligence is really important for a psychologist?
Yeah, like it's like the basic thing, I think. Yeah.
Because I interact with many people, and 50% of them, I think, they don't know anything about emotional intelligence, and they can say some things that can harm you.
Yeah.
Unwillingly. Of course, they're not trying to, beat you down or to harm you, to offend you, but they do it unwillingly somehow.
Yeah.
Which means that they don't have enough emotional intelligence to understand what words should you choose to speak your idea to a person, sometimes. So yeah. Well, anything else we would like to discuss?
No.
Ask me something.
I don't know, baby.
Come on. Of course, this is my responsibility as a host to ask questions, but it's not an interview. It's a podcast. Maybe there is something that you would like to know, but you didn't have time or chance to ask. So you can ask now.
The surname of something. It started with B.
No, it's Tairovic.
No.
Kalinin.
No, the one that you have in Word.
Butauri.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for the question. So, I have multiple Google accounts, and not to use one of the same name for all these accounts, I use different, surnames. Usually the name is always the same, like Bogdan. But so Butauri, it's actually a Georgian surname. And for one of the Google accounts, I use my alias name, Bogdan Butauri. So Butauri is a Georgian surname which my mother adopted when she got married for the second time, and she changed her surname to Butauri because it was the husband's surname. A very good guy, by the way. So my mother passed away last year, and but her husband, Alik Butauri, he's still alive. A very good man. I love him very much. So he has this surname, Butauri, very, beautiful surname. And since my mother carries this surname, she carried it until she died. She was Alexandra Butauri. And this is my second surname, which I could have adopted too, but I didn't. Actually, I don't like my current surname. I don't like how it sounds. Yeah. So I wanted to change it because we have an opportunity to change. But in this case, I need to, do a lot of paperwork because I have a small business, all these documents should be rewritten, redone, and also the property documents too. So you have a driving license and passport and international passport, and you just need to do a lot of paperwork, which is not easy right now when I'm out of Russia also. So maybe, next life.
Yeah. But your surname is cool.
Yeah, you think so? Well, thanks for saying that. Good to hear. Well, but Kalinin is a very, very Russian surname. Yeah, but actually, this surname is not even mine because, again, since we live in a paradigm in Russia that when you get married, if you're a woman, you adopt the surname of your husband. So the same happened with my grandmother. So my grandmother, her maiden name, the original surname was Zinaida Chinchevaya. So it's a unique surname, Chinchevaya. But then she got married and changed her surname to her husband's surname, which is Kalinina. But actually, she lived with this man for a couple of years and then they split. So they finished relationships, but she didn't change back her surname, meaning that I'm bearing a surname that is not anyhow connected to our family right now, because my grandmother's original surname is Chinchevaya, and it's right now I bear the surname that is not original, and I don't even know this man. I have not, because he died in a car crash. Not a car crash, some car crashed into him. And he died. And I don't even know him, but I still using the surname, which is strange. But anyway, we have what we have. Yeah. So last question that I would like to ask: what would you recommend to people who are traveling to Spain, apart from paying attention to your stuff, because it can be stolen?
Well,
well, let's talk about traveling only, not leaving. If a person is going to travel to Spain, me, for example, this year, what should you recommend? Not only in terms of visiting, but what should I know before going to Spain? Maybe some laws that I don't know. For example, it's illegal to, drink in public.
Oh yeah, it's illegal
to drink
in public.
As in many countries right now.
Yeah, and also I don't know, to buy alcohol in supermarkets instead of the small Chinese shops.
Why?
Because it's cheaper. Yeah. And also to buy it before 10, because then they won't sell it to you.
Oh, it's the same in Russia. It used to be 11
Yeah.
p.m., but now it's 10 p.m. So they shut down all the shops.
Yeah. And I don't know, I don't know what else.
So When you go to Spain, you're completely safe. Take care of your stuff
wallet.
because it can be stolen easily, right?
Yeah, and that people are a little bit racist also. Yeah, that's it.
Racist in what regard? Like, what can they do?
Well, racist, like in regard of they can say something to you.
Something offensive?
Not offensive, but I don't know, like sometimes, like for example, I was just walking and like I heard like Tina or something like that.
China, yeah.
Yeah, like Chinese. And I was like, what the fuck?
Ah,
Yeah,
okay, that's
yes.
racist.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. Yeah.
Communist Party. Like this Turkish guy, remember? So Paula and me, we interacted, one guy in Turkey. So we were getting back from burger place home, and there was a drunk Turkish guy who asked a cigarette, and we didn't have. But he went on talking to us anyway in Turkish, which we don't understand. And he would reply words like China, China, and
Yeah.
also communist. And at some point I realized that he just, this guy recognized the patterns in your face that you're the Chinese and the Communist Party, which in China, the Communist Party is the biggest one, right? And very powerful. And in Turkey too. So they have a Communist Party with all these red flags and stuff. And many people support that still, the communism kind of
Yeah.
idea. Maybe it's a modern communism, not the old communism that we used to have. But anyway, in Russia, the Communist Party is still alive, but kind of nominally because, well, I don't think people really, believe in communism. They don't anymore. But anyway, in Turkey, they also have. So this guy, like China, communism.
Yeah, but he was nice.
But he was good, yeah. And he was not offensive. He recognized patterns and wanted to share it with us, that he recognizes that you're from China and maybe you're a communist.
But for example, also in Spain, many people think that, for example, like the most guys that come from outside are Moroccans. So so many people say like, oh, but they only come to steal our jobs and like steal our girls and stuff like that.
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of racist, a little
Yeah.
bit. Oh yeah. So if you're a Moroccan, yeah, pay attention to
To the
that.
people.
Well, I think it's this modern globalized world. You can interact with racism in any part.
Yeah.
To be honest, like people, it's not about the country, it's about people, the personnel, individuals.
Yeah, well, for example, here, I think that, no.
Well,
Like,
yeah, I didn't interact with that too. But who knows? Maybe since we don't, speak Turkish, we cannot feel or hear some
yeah, maybe they
criticism.
are
Maybe they are
insulting.
criticizing. Maybe. Who knows? But I don't think so. Well,
No.
well, since I'm Russian originally, when they ask me where I'm from, because they cannot recognize any Russian patterns in my face,
Yeah.
it's obvious that like I'm not really Russian. So I have a mixed blood. That's why. And they always ask me like, where are you from? And I say I'm from Russia. It's like, oh, Russia? Like, no, you're not from Russia. And that's why I tell them like, okay, I have a Turkish father. And they say like, okay, Turkish. And they say, oh, that means that you're Turkish. You're not Russian. And yeah, they always, well, and why I'm saying that. So Russia and Turkey, they have long political and economical ties historically, because Russia sells a lot of gas to Turkey. In Turkey, everything works off the gas. So all this, for example, now it's winter time, and the heater that works inside this building is a gas heater. So it's connected to the gas pipe, and we cook using only gas ovens. And all this gas comes from Russia, actually. Yeah, it's all 100% Russian gas. Yeah. And another thing is touristic destination. So many people since we don't have much sun and warmth in Russia, many people travel to the southern countries, and Turkey is a very popular destination. Historically, it became. So these Turkish people, they got used to Russian tourists a lot, especially in the south of Turkey. You can even see signs in Russian and some shops that, have prices and stuff in Russian and Russian signs and words. So yeah, it's like this infrastructure, that the tourist infrastructure that they have in Turkey. So Russians are the target audience, one of the target audience. And also, actually, I didn't know, but a lot of people from UK and France come to travel to Turkey for a weekend or so, like for a holiday. And sometimes, when you visit the southern cities of Turkey, they have in the menu, in the restaurant, for example, they have sometimes several currencies in terms of prices.
Yeah.
They like have euro, pound, like British pound, European euro, and Russian ruble, and something on Turkish lira also. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for having me, and
Thanks for inviting me.
oh yeah, we can repeat it one day.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for being with us, and have a good rest of the day or weekend that you have. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Cheers.
Soup.